The My Lai Massacre, a horrific experience where U.S. soldiers went into Vietnam and killed over 500 innocent civilians, including women, children, and elderly. In this video, I will be showing you the public's response to the My Lai Massacre as it actually happened in real life, and how it happened in Tim O'Brien's In the Lake of the Woods, and then explaining why he chose to not accurately represent it. The war in Vietnam had sparked controversy from the beginning. People felt the United States had no right in fighting there, causing protests and anti-war campaigns. Although this is true, there were still people who agreed with the idea, and so the war was followed through with. Once the war was over, there was no talk as to what actually happened there for a while, as the military had tried to cover it up. The cover-up continued until Ron Ridenhour, a soldier in the 11th Brigade who had heard reports of the massacre but had not participated, began a campaign to bring the events to light. After writing letters to government officials with no response, Ridenhour finally gave an interview to the investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, who broke the story in November 1969. Once news of the killing spread, it caused the once small protest groups to grow rapidly. The people were outraged to hear of what the U.S. soldiers had done and began to question the loyalty and honesty of our military. What sparked a lot of upset too was the photos released, showing the public how brutal their military truly was. Now, one question we can ask is, are the effects of the My Lai Massacre accurately represented in media and stories told today? One place we can look to test this is the book In the Lake of the Woods by Tim O'Brien. Here, the author tells the story of a man named John Wade who participated in the My Lai Massacre. The book tells that Wade faced a lot of death in the war. At one point he says, "There were many bodies present, maybe 100. He was caught up in the slime." Page 110. It drove John to a breaking point as he shot an innocent man with a hoe and a member of his crew because of the high adrenaline during his time in the war. After this experience, John tried to erase what he had done by changing the records to not have his name present. One of his friends in the war, Thin Bill, says, "It stays with me even after all these years. I guess it probably haunted John too, except he tried to do something about it. Erase it, you know. Literally." Page 258. Not only this, but he also did not tell his wife or campaign advisor once asked if he had anything to hide. At one point, Tim O'Brien relates this back to the Watergate scandal with Nixon. He says, "It is a harsh question, yet is it possible that Nixon lied to his wife and to his family, as well as to the country, about the full scope of his involvement in the cover-up of the Watergate affair?" Page 264. After his time in the war, John was hoping to become a member of the United States Senate. He was predicted to win in the election until the news of the war broke out and his name came up. Once the public learned about what he had done, they all switched their vote, and within a month he knew he would no longer have a chance at winning the election. Later in the book, we learn that his wife, Kathy, went missing. Here, O'Brien brings up the massacre again with others' accusations as to where she went. With knowing he had been in the war and had killed, made him more easily to accuse of killing her as well. Kathy's sister did not trust him. She says at one point, "Personally, I guess I never gave him much of a chance." Page 258. They thought he had gone mad, lost the aspect of human connection, only caring about himself and keeping the secret. Others expressed their opinion about John and what he had done, too. Someone says, "Something was wrong with this guy. No shit, I could almost smell it." Page 146. Also, on page 284 in the book, John Wade says as one of his last statements, "Did I choose this life illusion? Don't be mad. My bed was made. I just lied in it." John expresses that even though he had a past of being in the war and a past of killing, he couldn't go back and he couldn't change it as he thought he could have. So all he had left to do was to accept what he had done and take the punishment. After looking at how Tim O'Brien portrayed John and the public's response to the massacre in his book, In the Lake of the Woods, one can conclude that he did not entirely accurately represent the response. He showed the people getting mad quickly after finding out about what John had done. This is what happened in real life as well when the public found out and soon became upset with the military. Also, after learning of his past, his friends and others talking with him saw him in a negative light, knowing that he had killed before, making the trust for him gone as it was for the military. Although this is true, O'Brien did not explicitly state that his past in the war was why he was being accused, and never told of any protests toward him as they would have been done in real life. This leads us to believe O'Brien did have some aspects of the public's response, but did not go into great detail of the anger of the public, making his representation not accurate. Now the question is, why would O'Brien make it like this in the book? O'Brien would not have wanted to make his response accurate because he did not want what others thought of him based on the war to be the only thing stated about John. O'Brien wanted John to still have a sense of innocence in order to cause the reader to be intrigued and still question whether or not he was a bad enough person to kill Kathy.